Hey, how's it going? My name is Don. I'm one of the co-founders here at Hamilton Emails, and this is going to be a presentation for e-commerce businesses doing over 60K per month on how to reclaim your pre-COVID profits. So in this document, we're going to go over how to win back your pre-COVID margins using branded direct response and behavior-based segmentation to thrive in a looming recession in a very cost-conscious market. So in this guide, we are going to go very deep dive into how Scooch tripled their email revenue in 60 days by just simply actually sending more emails without spamming their customers. You're also going to learn how Uclove consistently achieved more than 11x ROI over 14 months with email marketing using behavior-driven segmentation. And you're going to find out about how Epochi's boomer investors changed their mind after seeing over $50,000 of MRR added in less than 72 days. And finally, how a dozen of other clever e-commerce brand owners are actually reducing the time between the second, third, and fourth purchases for their brand by up to 32 days using retention marketing. And this actually does work even for one and done products. But now that that's out of the way, right, I want to start by sort of painting an image here because pre-COVID or 2019 and before that, this was honestly the ideal era for brand owners, especially for e-commerce. Even if you're a drop shipper or anyone under the sun with an internet access that could access AliExpress. So having Facebook pre-COVID, this was literally a license to print money, right? This was an era where plain text image, you could put that together with some lazy copy, and that would net you 15 times ROI with products drop shipped from China. But that all changed once COVID happened, right? You got supply chain disruptions, you got increased demand, there were labor disruptions, and this is just to name a few, right? But you can see here from this graph at the beginning, right at January 2020, the prices of basically everything just soared. Like if you look at here, lumber um, increased by almost 350% just in like a 1 to 2 year time span. But these are all like fairly basic materials, right? Soybean oil, corn, tin, soybeans, copper. But now let's actually just have a quick look into price of raw materials for common things that you would find in e-commerce products. So in 2021, plastic prices increased on average by about 20 to 40%. Aluminium prices increased by an average of 30 to 50%. Cotton 10 to 25%, glass 5 to 15, leather 10 to 15, ceramics by 5 to 15. And so let's just imagine, right, that your product uses a few of these materials. Your product more than likely costs more to manufacture in 2023 than it would have actually sold for in 2019. Now, just think about that for a second. In a 4 year difference, that price increase. And so you'll see a lot of internet marketers call this point in history, where we are right now in 2023, as post COVID, right? But like there's another just more simple, it's a more straightforward and really kind of daunting name for this period that we're in now. And that's just normal, right? This is the new normal. Even if all the supply chains, the demand, or whatever else, if they go right back to the state they were or the state of the world pre-COVID, greedy corporations and manufacturers, they're not going to reduce prices back down, right? This is just the state of the world now. You have to get used to it. But this means that you're going to have less bottom line, you're going to make less profit while potentially even selling the same, if not more units. And so the only way that you as a business owner can actually combat this is to very simply increase your prices. But remember, you're not the only business feeling the impacts of this new normal, right? Every business owner, they're dealing with reduced margins, right? They're dealing with increased costs of goods, raw materials, and they're actually being forced to push all of these expenses to their customers. So every business in the world, I don't care if you're product based, if you're service based, whatever, all of them have increased their prices. And so now thinking about this from like a customer perspective, right? The cost of living for the average person has just absolutely skyrocketed. And I'm not going to put any like fancy graph or stats in here to prove this because you can literally go down to like your local Woolies, your Coles, your local Costco, Aldi, wherever you are. Look at the price of literally anything inside and compare that to even 2, 3, 4 years ago, right? You know it has increased. And so this is now causing customers to be less interested in spending, right? Customers now, more than ever, they are more conscious about where they spend their hard earned money. And look, like the way that I'm saying this, I'm completely aware. It all does sound like kind of doom and gloom, but there is some light at the end of this tunnels because very clearly there are still businesses that are growing, they're thriving, new businesses pop up every day, and some of them actually do really well. And so in 2023 and beyond, right, real brands with great products, right, that build real connections with their customers, they are now going to monopolize their market. But how are they actually doing this? And so, first, it's not by sending more money to Zuckerberg, right? You're not going to be repaying the Facebook tax to reacquire customers already in your ecosystem. That is not going to grow your brand and help you thrive. It is not by devaluing your brand by shilling constant offers and discounts to try and constantly lure people into buying. And it's not by operating at break even or sometimes even at a loss and just praying that your product or your service is going to be good enough that people come back to your brand. Not at all. It's by leveraging branded direct response and behavior based segmentation to deliver the right message at the right time to retain your existing customers and to nurture them into becoming raving fans that purchase your products two, three, four, or even more times while referring more and more customers for you. Because you see, as a brand owner, right, your customers are actually telling you exactly what they want, right? And your customers, they're telling you exactly why they purchase from you, but you're just not listening yet. And so by assessing the behaviors of your prospects and your customers, right, you can actually segment them into specific categories to tailor your marketing message to be its most effective. And you'd be surprised by how simple and applicable this strategy is for basically every single brand in the world. But the caveat is you actually have to sell genuinely good products, right? If you sell crappy products, this isn't going to work for you. There's only two steps, very simple, that you can apply today to make this work for your brand. Step number one, analyze the behaviors of your customers and your prospects. Just check out what they're doing. Literally take a bird's eye view, analyze what they're doing when they interact with your store. And then number two, tailor your marketing messaging to their behaviors. That's it. So, for example, right, the way that you would sell a mate on Coca Cola will be completely different depending on what behavior they're taking, right? So, here's just a couple examples. Depending on what their meal they're eating, depending on what they're doing in that current moment, depending if they're on a diet or not, depending on the weather, and depending on the time of day, will completely change the way that you actually send your marketing message to your mate. In any of these cases, right, it's actually just not enough to say like Coca-Cola is delicious, right? Like, sure, it's true, sure, it's definitely an aspect about Coca-Cola that is very well known, but this marketing message is just not going to be enough to address any of these unique situations, right? Each of these unique situations, they have their own unique considerations, they have their own unique concerns. So here's what you might actually say in each situation to try and convince your friend to grab a bottle of Coca-Cola no matter what the situation is. So let's say your mate is eating a meal, right? You might tell them, hey man, Coke is the best when you're eating a burger and chips. Or Coca-Cola hits different when you're eating greasy food, right? Depending on what they're doing, you might say, water just isn't as satisfying to drink when you're watching a movie. Go grab a Coke. Or, Coke really helps me focus when I'm in an intense gaming session or an intense studying session, right? If your mate is on a diet, that's going to change how you say it as well. There's a no sugar or diet Coca-Cola, and it tastes great without the calories. If it's a hot day, you might tell your mate Coca-Cola is just super refreshing on a hot day, or even if it's just like the afternoon, you might say Coke is the perfect pick me up in the afternoon. And so, right, like that's really just to illustrate, right? It's the same product. You could even be talking to the exact same person, but you will change the marketing message to be specific because it needs to be delivered at the right time. It needs to address the specific behaviors of your customer and where they are at in terms of their behavioral journey. And so think about this for a second, right? If for a brand like Coca-Cola, billion-dollar business, right? If there is no one size fits all marketing message for a company like Coca-Cola, there's probably not going to be one for your brand either. And so it's time for you to actually implement this strategy into your own business and finally win back your pre COVID margins. By leveraging behavioral based segmentation with direct branded response, we were able to triple Scoocher's email marketing revenue in 60 days. And we did this by simply sending more emails without actually spamming their customers. We were able to achieve over an 11x ROI for over 14 months for YouGlove. And we're actually also able to convince Epochi's boomer investors, right? Guys that, these guys still believe in like direct mail, that sending emails is a viable retention strategy compared to another press article that they wanted to do about putting sunnies in like the newspaper, right? And they saw this after they saw us add to their bottom line 50 grand of MRR in 72 days. And we've done this for dozens of other brands. We've reduced the time between their second, third, fourth purchases by up to 32 days using retention marketing. And this actually, again, it works for one and done products. So look, growing your business on the front end, it's absolutely crucial, right? There's no doubt about it. There's no debate, but it is a no end game. If you attempt to scale infinitely forever, you're always going to be looking for those one-time purchases for your brand, but eventually you're going to hit a ceiling. It's inevitable. So you need to create a system that encourages your customers to purchase from you multiple times. But customers, especially in today's age, it's a very sophisticated market. The internet has been around for a while now. Customers will only do this when they love your brand. And in a world where customers are constantly hit, right, with anywhere from 4,000 to 10,000 ads per day, developing a powerful retention strategy for customers that have already purchased from you, this is now actually what helps you stand out more than ever. And so in 2023 and beyond, a strong front end acquisition system combined with a well thought out back end retention strategy is now the ticket to unlocking your pre COVID margins and thriving in a cost conscious market. Because the front end, like very common, right? The front end is where the riches are made, but the back end is where you actually make your wealth. And so, if this presentation at all sounds interested to you, and you are a brand doing 60K per month in revenue, and if you want to add a doctor's salary to your top line revenue in 6 months with our behavioral based segmentation strategy, go to our website, hamiltonemails.co. It will be linked in the description. Book a call on our website and let's have a chat to see if we can actually help you. We will only extend an offer if that is the case. Otherwise, you get to walk away with some value on how to actually boost your email marketing strategies to get to a point where you're at that 60K USD per month mark. Otherwise, you can also check out our channel for more game and source on how to improve your email marketing strategies. But that's all for now, and hopefully talk soon.